Welcome everybody to another build video. This time we're going to be taking a look at what a lot of people think is the worst family member. It's definitely up between him and Sissy. That we are taking a look at Johnny today, and this is an interesting one. So first off, right out the gate, we'll ask, why should you use this build? Well, because I think it's probably the best build for Johnny. He's basically sort of a mini Leatherface in terms of his effectiveness and how you play him. I mean, he's not nearly as effective as Leatherface, so let's get that out of the way right now. But his goal, the design of his character is basically that he's supposed to be very lethal. Once he catches someone, you should kill them very, very quickly. So we are really leaning into that with this build, and we are making a build so that you are going to be killing people extremely quickly with stacks of serrated, and that is why you're putting so many points into endurance, and then you are going to catch up to people extremely quickly with scout, so that you catch up to them faster, and once you've caught up to them, they're not getting away. And then fired up is just an all-around great perk, and I found in my experimentation that I was constantly running out of stamina and needing to regen, so having less of a regen is extremely helpful. So fired up is one that I kind of substituted in late and didn't really quite get it leveled, but even the 30% less delay was really, really good. So that's why you should use it. Let's take a look at his ability first and foremost. And this one's actually really crucial to talk about here. I think that you should take the increased clue range as the first thing that you should take. This isn't hugely important. You're basically just doing it because you absolutely, for your level 2 perk, take decreased tracking cost. And the reason for that is because his ability functions as a second family sense. Now, he can't see, when he activates it, he can't see the outlines of objectives and things like that, like you can with Family Sense. However, it does muffle the sound the same way that Family Sense does. So you can hear victims when you use his ability, including voice lines, which is weird. It does the same thing that Family Sense does in the sense that if a victim is near you and they say something, you will hear that same way that you would with Family Sense. So because of that, you want to make sure that when you are using his ability, you can use it for longer. So that, that's why you're doing consumption rate tracking being reduced so that you can stay in that ability for longer, because one of the things you're going to be doing quite a bit of is staying in his ability, not just because it allows you to run around and patrol and say, oh, look, there's some tracks, but it also help you hear victims. And then you could kind of trade off. You could do that for a little bit. And then if you need to check fuse box or valves or something like that, you could get out of his tracking ability and turn on Family Sense. And then once you're done with that, go back to his tracking ability. So you're going to be doing a lot of that, a lot of bouncing back and forth. And then for his level 3 ability, yes, I'm not level 3, but it's because it takes ages to level anyone up. Unfortunately, it's really hard to play Johnny because nobody wants to play Leatherface. So if I don't play Leatherface, who I already have level 3, then I basically just don't get games anymore because lobbies just won't start because nobody wants to play Leatherface. But if you take this, then you're going to take the middle perk, level 3, which changes the color of footprints based on how recently they were left. Increased trail range is probably better, but you can't take that because you're all the way over here. And I think that decreased tracking cost is more important. More important than any of these level 3 abilities. And this one is terrible. You should never take this. Clues left by victims be analyzed 50% faster. You don't need to do that. It already doesn't take very long. So this is nice because then, you can know, hey, they were just here. Hey, they weren't here. Or they were, whatever. So just take that kind of by default. It's really not even that good. But the important thing is that you take decreased tracking cost at level 2. Okay, so for the skill tree, you're going to go to the right here. Now, unfortunately, 2 out of the 3 perks are random perks, which means you're probably going to have to respec quite a bit before you finally get serrated and scout. Those are the 2 perks that are random in your skill tree. And you're going to the right here because Fired Up is over to the right. Yes, I did experiment going down other paths. I tried going left for a little bit because I wanted to try using Tracker Tagged because Johnny can't go through gaps or crawl spaces. So I thought, hey, maybe I'll take Tracker Tagged so that if I hit someone, it will let my teammates know so that, you know, my hitchhiker, my sissy, if we have one, will know to come help me so that they could get through gaps. Family teammates don't do that. They don't help. So it's pointless. It's what I found. And also, his build is kind of centered around killing people as quickly as possible. So hopefully you'll kill them before they get to a gap or crawl space. If they get to a gap or crawl space, hopefully you have stacked enough bleed on them that they're just going to bleed out shortly after getting through it, and then you walk around and pick them up and kill them. That's the idea anyway. And yeah, and I thought about taking Easily Tuckered out. This perk, I'm not a huge fan of on him. Yes, it's good. And let me say this right now and get it out of the way. Yes, it's good if you use that glitch where you could swing to move faster. I don't condone using glitches, so we're not even going to discuss that. I don't care what side you play, whether it's victim or family. I don't like using glitches to gain an advantage. I don't care if I think the other side is using glitches. I don't do this, you know, whataboutism. I don't go, well, they do this, so that means I'm allowed to do that. I don't play that game. I don't use glitches. I don't use bugs. I actually played Sissy off stream to try to level her up for videos, and I thought that just rubber legs was bugged. Turns out her entire kit was bugged. So when somebody informed me of that, I felt really bad because I purposely didn't use rubber legs because I thought it was just that perk that was bugged. Turns out her entire, every hit she landed was bugged regardless of what perks, and I didn't know that. So I felt really bad when I found out about that. But anyway, yeah, I experimented with that, found out I really didn't like it. And more importantly, I found out that I was running out of stamina a lot because you're running with Johnny constantly, and having less of a delay before you start regenerating was really helpful. So the nice thing about going to the right here is that this node right here is actually a random perk node. So if you want to, you can pick this, and then see if this perk is either serrated or scout. And if it's not, respec. You can do that if you'd like. And then just keep doing that over and over until you get one of the two, and then continue on with the tree. That's probably faster than just simply going through the tree and hoping that you hit it on one of the later random perk nodes. I just happened very first try when I respec'd him to try using Fired Up. I just so happened to get serrated and scout back to back in the next 2 perk nodes. So I got very lucky on my very first time respecking down this skill tree. But if you'd like, you could do that. So you're going to go right here, obviously, and then once you get to this crossroads, you're going left. I guess if you look at this, you don't really need either of these because you're not worrying about that. I believe I went left because there is, well, no, because I guess there is another random perk here. So you could go right if you wanted to, especially in order to get Excited Grandpa. So yeah, if you want to go right, you can go right. There'd be nothing wrong with that. But I went left and I hit serrated, and then I got scout back to back. These 2 right here are random perk nodes. So I went left. Then when I got up here, I went right because I want that random perk node, and I didn't have any interest in taking big swings, wasting a slot on that. And then obviously, you know, I get an extra attribute point if I go this way. And then up here, I went left because I wanted to experience stalkers. And I'll get more into that in a second, but you could go right or left, taking well. Victims that jump down wells take 50% more damage. That's fine. It doesn't really matter. You could do either one, depending on what, you know, grandpa perk you want. For me, all these grandpa perks are not very good. Excited grandpa is probably the best out of these, which is why you could go to the right if you wanted to. But in general, it's starting to become a thing now where you don't take a grandpa perk if somebody else has the alarm perk. So then that way, that perk will be level 1 by default. So if you get grandpa to level 1, boom, you get the alarm perk, exterior alarms right away. And so typically if I'm in a lobby with good players that know what they're doing, I won't even bring a grandpa perk, so we get exterior alarms as the first level. If we're in a lobby of people who don't know what they're doing, I might just bring grandpa perk for whatever. If no one has exterior alarms. So there you go. There's the skill tree. For the perks themselves, like I talked about, we have serrated, scout, and then fired up. So serrated we are taking, like I discussed earlier, because you're trying to land as many hits as possible to stack damage on them. I get really dumb people in my comments who keep coming in and giving me crap for putting serrated in F tier in my family video because I didn't know that the damage stacked. I still don't know for sure that it does, but I have people in comments telling me that it does. It wouldn't be the first time people in comments said, no, it stacks, and then they were wrong. I haven't seen any actual video evidence of any of this. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But people say that it stacks, and if it stacks, it's incredible. It's an amazing perk. So you're trying to take advantage of that. Because the idea is, let's say you hit somebody twice, and you have level 3 serrated, it's going to apply 2 separate stacks, which means the bleed damage is going to be an additional 10 damage for those 2 hits. Whereas if it was a case where it didn't stack and all it did was reset serrated, so that like you hit him, like let's say you hit him and then it goes down to 1 second and you hit him again, it just goes back up to 5 seconds instead of applying a new stack. So if you hit him back to back in 2 seconds, it would only do 6 extra damage if the perk worked that way. So 6 damage versus 10 damage is almost double the damage, right? So people say it stacks, and because of that, the perk's really good. So we're trying to take advantage of that. Scout is obviously this crazy movement speed increase, which basically is going to make it to where once you're going to catch up to people faster, and once you've caught up to them, they're not going to get away from you. And because you are getting that melee damage reduction, that's partially why we're taking serrated, because hopefully we are making up for that damage reduction in bleed damage from serrated. Now, the last perk is fired up. I experimented with different perks in this third and final perk slot. Scout and serrated are the absolute must-takes. Fired up, there's a little more flexibility for this third perk slot. You could not take fired up if you don't want to. However, I was finding in most of my games I was constantly running out of stamina. I think fired up is key in this build, in my opinion, because you're running every single place you go because you don't really have other things to do like the other characters do. Like Cook, he's going to stop a lot because he's going to use his listening ability. Hitchhiker might stop because he's going to reset traps or even place them down. Sissy might stop because she's going to poison stuff, you know, all these different things. He doesn't really have a reason to stop unless he is tracking a footprint, which doesn't happen that often. So most of the time he's going to be running around patrolling, which means he's going to be running out of stamina. And the last thing you want to have happen is you are very low on stamina. You finally find somebody and then you have to sit there and wait for your stamina regen. And I found that that was happening way too often. And that's why I'm taking fired up. So there you go. Those are the 3 perks. And then for the grandpa perk, I personally took experienced stalkers. You could go to the right, like I talked about in that skill tree, and take excited grandpa. Making grandpa use his sonar ability more frequently is really, really good. But the reason I like experienced stalkers is because the reduced proximity warning makes it easier to sneak up on people, which means you're going to get more hits off before they can get to a crawl space gap or well. And yes, surprisingly, I've noticed it works. You might think, well, Johnny's footsteps are loud as hell. People are going to like hear you coming even without the proximity warning. Somehow they don't. It works extremely well, in my experience. And then, like I talked about, a lot of people now are taking exterior alarms, having one family member take it, and then nobody else takes it, or takes a grandpa perk. So exterior alarms is the first perk you gain when you level up grandpa. So that's why I didn't prioritize, his grandpa perk as much. So there you go. Random perks. His execution doesn't matter. You can pick whatever you want. There's no like bugs or anything like that with his execution, so far as I know. For his random perks, this one's kind of interesting because I think you potentially have some options here. So he gets Universal Donor, which increases the blood he collects for buckets. You don't need to take that. You're not building him as a blood harvester, which you probably shouldn't anyway, because his blood harvesting by default is super low. Surgical, which is you get more blood when attacking victims. Definitely don't need that because he's built on lethality. He is killing people once he's able to get an attack on them very, very rapidly. And if that's the case and you kill them, you're filling up your blood vial anyway, so you don't need more blood. There is an argument to be made to take Blood Banker. Blood Banker makes it so your maximum blood storage capacity is increased by 30% at level 3. This could be really good because by my math, he has 86 points for his blood vial by default, which means if you get level 3 Blood Banker, 86 times 1.3 is 111, or if you round up to 112. So having over 100 points for your blood vial could actually be really good because it means if you kill someone, you get to get grandpa up an entire level. So if you'd like to, if you find that somehow you just aren't running into issues with his stamina like I am, then you could take Blood Banker over Fired Up. You could, because having over 100 blood in his blood vial is really good because it really sucks to kill somebody and it doesn't even get grandpa up an entire level. So you could take Blood Banker as your third perk. Then he has Chicken Whisper. The perk's terrible. I don't even need to elaborate. Don't take it. Dinner Bell. Useless on him because he doesn't even set traps. Why he's able to get it, I don't know. Down the Rabbit Hole makes it so that victims who climb down wells will be highlighted for 17 seconds. I think there's some potentially some potential, if you will, with this perk. Because at level 3, 17 seconds is a long time, and people are going to be using wells against you a lot when you're playing Johnny. And then if you have Scout, there's potential to be so fast that you could get down there, see exactly where they landed, exactly where they went. And because of Serrated, if you get a bunch of hits off, especially as they're in the animation of going down the well, they're going to be taking bleed damage, and then there's a chance that they will get incapacitated. And you can get down there in time to either pick them up and kill them, which probably isn't very likely, but get down there quickly enough where you'll be right on top of them, and then when they get up, you can finish them off. So there is an argument to be made to take down the Rabbit Hole. Take that for your third perk. And then the last two are Scout and Serrated. Those are the last two random perks, which we're already taking anyway, so we don't need to discuss those. All right, then we have his attributes. Now, this one's pretty interesting because I have 30 attribute points here, and I am putting 20 into Endurance to fully max it, and then 10 into Savagery. Now, why am I not doing it the other way around? Why am I not putting 20 in Savagery to max it and 10 into Endurance? Well, it's because Endurance affects your melee attack frequency. So the idea is to attack as many times as possible, so then that way you are getting as many stacks of Serrated as possible onto the victim. That's the idea. And also, you are going to be, like I talked about, it's the reason I'm taking Fired Up, you are going to be running around so much. You need as much stamina as possible, in my opinion. I experimented with both. I tried maxed out Savagery and just 40 Endurance, and I found that I like maxed out Endurance and 40 Savagery more. So, there you go. That's why I'm doing that. Now, as far as how to play, I touched on this briefly at the beginning of the video. Truth be told, I don't have great footage of this because I just don't record my matches typically, and I just recorded the most recent one I played, and it was kind of a mess. The match did not go very well. So this is not the best match to show, but it will maybe give you a little bit of an idea of how you're going to play. But like I talked about, you're going to be using his ability quite often. Now, you don't need to use it in the beginning of the game because nobody's out of the basement yet, so you're not going to hear any victims because there's nobody upstairs yet. But in general, I would say, you know, if you're not taking Blood Banker and you don't have over 100 points for your blood vial, then don't bother with the blood bags. Don't waste time. One of the things you can do with Johnny is rush the basement. I tend to do that with Johnny as long as it's like Family House or Gas Station. I don't like doing it on Slaughterhouse because there's so many like gaps and stuff to get away. Definitely close any of the crawl spaces that you see. This is really funny that Julie opened the door and was like, "Ooh." But you can rush the basement if you would like. Honestly, you probably shouldn't rush the basement even on Gas Station. Family House, you absolutely can if you have a good Leatherface. Because Leatherface can watch 4 out of the 5 exits, and then you can watch the exit that leads to the side garden if you'd like. So you don't have to rush the basement. It's just a way that you could potentially punish players that play way too aggressively and wake up Grandpa too soon. Also, can we talk about how bad the like auto aim is in this? Like, there's so many times where I go to swing and my auto aim like causes me to miss. It happens all the time. It's really irritating. But yeah, once the match really starts to get going, you're going to be activating his ability constantly in order to hear things. I don't even know how much I actually do it in this, but you're going to be using his ability to try to hear victims. I wish I had gotten the game on Family House before this one. I wish I had recorded that because it was a great demonstration of what I'm talking about. This game is not. But you're going to be doing that. Use your family sense too, obviously. Track people's footprints as much as you can because, hey, it's points, which is always nice, and it's really hard to earn points with him. And then also it will allow you to do things like this, like, oh no, somebody made it upstairs, and you can go up there and try to get him before they could cause any damage, open up anything. So that's kind of the idea there. And yeah, just basically spam his ability, even if there's no footprints around and you don't suspect there's any around. And then also go ahead and use Family Sense to see where objectives are, to see if anything has been opened, so on and so forth, like you would with every family member. It's also kind of crazy how easily they could win close encounters against Johnny when he's just a beast of a man. But there you go. There's the Johnny build. Give it a try. Tell me what you think. Let me know how it goes. I think this is probably the best build for him. Yes, he's a very weak character, and you might get frustrated. But if you really like Johnny, give this a try. Maybe you'll have a good time playing him if you use this build. So yeah, try it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you all in the next video. Do I catch the Connie? Who knows? I guess you'll find out later. I guess you'll never find out, actually, because the video is about to end. But I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.